Okay, hi, and welcome to my presentation on Madagascar. Now, I included a little slide about context of its geography. So, it's a small island off the coast of Mozambique in East Africa. Continuing on, the United Nations does name Madagascar. It's one of its 44 least developed countries, otherwise known as LDCs. Um, and just because it is at a high risk of poverty and they are at the prevalence of chronic malnutrition, being 40% of the population. Additionally, they are a smallholder farmers, majority of farmers in Madagascar, basically meaning that they are dependent on agriculture for their livelihood, which is not really a sustainable way of living because it leads to food insecurity due to a lack of necessities such as water and electricity. I included a small slide about climate change and the just prevalence of it and issue, risk, all that kind of stuff. Now, with that, my highlight of this project is that global change is affecting Madagascar, and because they are feeling the effects against intensities of tropical cyclones, floods, droughts, and so much more. This overall is going to affect their agriculture and key infrastructures, down spiraling them into more poverty because they just cannot combat this. Unfortunately, and a lot of people are now going food insecure. So here are just some statistics more about that. I did include an example of a cyclone that was very intense and can be correlated back to the effects of climate change and how that genuinely really affected the nation as a whole. Now, with their emergency management, it is important to note that there is no clear line of communication from any higher or local authority. It does kind of show the research indicated below that the nation is going to traditionally follow a bottom up model. Now, with this, 38.9% of participants in the survey said that they lacked information about any storms and learned from informal sources. When they were asked who does the community perceive to have a responsibility to prepare them, 44% of the participants assigned blame to higher authorities beyond their direct reach, 21% assign blame to the local authorities. This kind of indicates that the higher authorities are the ones that are not essentially providing them the aid that they need, whereas the local authorities are doing a better job at it. But clearly, there's blame to assign to both. And additionally, I just do want to mention that there is a number of issues that come with assigning blame to unofficial sources. Now, here's another kind of example of two cyclones that hit Madagascar, and how this truthfully did affect all across Madagascar. Now, there's a lot that Madagascar did in response to this. Unfortunately, this does fall under the post disaster emergency management system because it was a response to. Now, it does prepare them for future, which is really great. But again, it is going to fall under the response. This being the nation kind of follows as a reactive country. So meaning that they're going to lack a lot in the preparedness and mitigation, but focus a lot on response and recovery. Lastly, I do want to mention that Madagascar, as the last bulletin point kind of mentions, it is going to ask for a lot of aid after disasters just because they do not have as much money or infrastructures in place to help themselves internally. So they call for a lot of NGOs or international aid to come in. Here it says the 2025 initial funding of the European Civil Protection and Human Aid Operations came in with 7 million euros to help out with unreserved areas for food, health, and nutritional service. Now, this kind of wraps up everything that I have already said. Again, I just want to emphasize that there's a lot of vagueness with their top down, bottom up systems and overall emergency management that can do a lot of improving. But again, this is just kind of the reality for a lot of least developed countries or LDCs, unfortunately, especially when facing these intensities of climate change on natural disasters and unable to be able to manage it or prepare for it, or even have the knowledge or information resources to be able to expand on their systems in place. But thank you.